There are 8 South Africans in the 30th running of the Dakar Rally. Chenille de Villiers will be driving in his 3rd rally. Ralph Pitchford will be navigating for American Mark Miller, while Mark Corbett and Francois Jordan will be the only all-South African team. 3 SA motorcyclists have entered: Tom Klaassen, Albert Hinnenhaus and Robert Strake. Only on Supersport, proudly brought to you by Mitsubishi Motors.
On asset finance from Absa, going off the beaten track to find solutions.
The 07 Toyota Dealer 400 in Mpumalanga was set to decide the national championship titles in several different categories, as race 7 out of 8 was due to be a real car breaker and hope wrecker. Leidenberg and Serrans provided 400 kilometers of exacting racing. It was the Motorrad lads who were leading overall by 1 minute and 48 seconds from Grobler and Jordan. The mountainous forest tracks needed complete concentration, and Cox and Testege came into their own. But the rain that cancelled out the prologue again made its appearance, making it even more difficult in the heavily wooded sections to turn sharply, and it also affected visibility. Voss was pushing hard. And so was the special vehicle points leader Nick Harper. The two situations almost mirrored each other in the two categories. There was some serious rain and at times sleet, not ideal racing conditions to say the least. Tyres battled to grip, and Matthews and Smith, despite this little two-step, were up into second and going well. Berthold and Houghton had lightened their load and were solid, but they did not finish 6 of the races in the series, with Brandon Harkes having to watch very carefully here from the cockpit of the Ford Ranger. It was like an ice skating rink at times. With less than 100 k's to go, there were only 25 of the original 64 starters left in the race. Brothers Johan and Etienne Besaidnout were first in Class B in the Adenko BAT, and the Zamattans were on their way to a great win in Class D. The Weigarts got their charge going and would take second in Class D by 7 minutes, a very solid showing. But they got ambushed from the side by the Mickerin lads. Jannie Visser and Joks Leroux got a 7th place in the production car race, but a fine win in Class E, with Herman Silwart 6th in Class A and Richard Schilling and Chris Davies taking the ASCO to a Class S championship winning victory. While Bez Besaidnout and Johan de Bruyn filled the 10th place and second behind Bez's 2 sons in Class B. And it was clear that some drivers had already done some towing. Notice the rope at the back. This is still one of the few sports where competitors help each other as a matter of course. And Bez had certainly not stopped chasing after his sons either. While Marcus Taylor and Derek Keith came storming by, banking on a finish, sadly, it was not to be. With a Delmas pair, Roman Besaidnout and Stefan Locke also missing out on finishing because they were time barred. At the finish line, it was a standing ovation for Evan Hutchison and Kim Bergman, who triumphed in 6 hours, 23 minutes and 41 seconds, putting the championship pressure squarely back on the Harpers for the last race at the Ford Carnival City 400. Voss was exuberant and rather flashy as he finished with just 3 seconds to spare over his never-say-die teammate Grobler, but it was enough for the win and the resultant 25 points. Voss and Grobler celebrated a 7th consecutive Nissan win in 07, and Voss and Pitchford's margin assured him of the national crown. It was the closest finish ever in the history of the Absa Off-Road Championship. Hutchison and Bergman took a 2 minute and 51 second victory home, with the Harpers losing out to Matthews and Smith by 5 minutes. It was all to drive for in one category and done and dusted in another, and all of it added to the excitement of the 8th and final event of the Absa Off-Road season, the Ford Carnival City 400 in Brakpan. In the special vehicle class, the Motorrad team of Hutchison and Bergman were racing for the national crown, just a scant 5 points behind the father and son team of Nick and Ryan Harper in their Atlas Copco BAT, and the 05 champions certainly meant business right from the get-go. With Cox, the outgoing champion, and Testege never shy to start off with all of the foot on the throttle. While while the Atlas Copco teams of Berthold and Minute and the Harpers decided to pair up and ride together. Voriyawa and Rousseau were also closing the gap on the men ahead of them. Cronje and Birken were, despite a lot of mud on their Castrol Toyota, trying not to go too hard too early, and they had almost had a head-on too.
Here's something you must go right here, go right, go right.
Woolridge and Scholtham had prepared the Ford with painstaking thoroughness and were reaping the benefits. They were up into second, with Karl-Heinz Silwart right on their exhaust pipes. Having climbed up the National Championship, Voss was now also hunting the SP Class National Crown, but here he was slightly too eager.
Yeah,
Luckily no serious damage, and they got the car back on its paws, and teammates Tollefson and Van Zyl were still there to fly the Japanese manufacturer's flag. And then the gentleman in Hannes Grobler also came out. The Resonics boys put together a fine drive and were piling on the pressure in Class D. Father and son Cliff and Louis Weichelt were also going well in Class D in their Bosel Toyota, with Ramon Besaidnout and Stefan Locke, despite a bent steering arm, heading for the designated service point, albeit rather gingerly over the rocks. After a disaster in the prologue, Bevan Berthold and Robin Houghton took their time penalties and were screaming up the batting order, but they had a lot of traffic to contend with ahead of them. In the mountains, it was best to take it easy and get the car out in one piece. This section had to be negotiated again in the afternoon, therefore it was best to spare the horses for the next time round. Fabio Tafani and Alan Deerling in their Toyota got through unscathed, but tyres here were a great worry, and some teams were already on a spare, or two. In Class E, Jack Peckham and Lucio Santoro were looking for a finish and then a podium, and they were protecting the Ford Ranger. Conversely, Thomas Rundle lost the Dunlop part of his car, but was sure that he would bounce back. Yanni Visser and Joks Leroux had to dodge the offending part, but they finished first in Class E. And then the moment that ended the Harpers National Crown Challenge. They went in too deep here, got stuck, and 20-odd minutes later, it was all over. They tried to get it unstuck, but that just did more damage. And this was the right line here. The Cries were again firmly in control, looking for win number 6, a truly great season by the father and son. Rutherford and Doubtfire were going well until this huge mistake, which left the two racers nursing a broken arm and some serious bruises. Thompson and Blakey were having a storming run and were just outside the top 10 in the specials, all the way up from 19th, and happy to have escaped a similar fate. At the finish line, it was hats off to Evan Hutchison and Achim Bergman, who stopped the clocks in 5 hours and 20 minutes to clinch the national championship for Motorrad. They nailed the second loop faster than anyone else.
Today was a day for Motorrad, the team, you know. My navigator today, in a day that was so difficult to navigate, he came through good when we needed him. We managed to get through the whole of the first loop, coming into the pit stop in the lead, which was very, very difficult. But we knew if we could just stay in the lead till the pits, we'd be able to arrive for the rest of that lap, which we managed to do. And we went out in the second loop knowing we had about a 2-minute gap over Nick Harper, who was right behind us. And we pushed really hard at the beginning of the lap. And then I think we got up to about a 6-minute gap, and we knew we had it. And we just tried to conserve the car I heard all the spooks in my head coming and noises in the car and problems with the gearbox. But we just carried on, and we got quieter and quieter in the car, knowing it was just getting closer and closer, not wanting to say anything. But honestly, today was for the team, you know. Chris, who's prepared this car so well, Achim, who's navigated and built the car. You know, what a team. Justin for running the team, for making those decisions that we need to have made. Today's a huge, huge day for Motorrad. It really is. I'm really, really chuffed. Alfie helped me out this morning. When we got lost, he ended up ahead of me. Didn't make it too difficult for me to pass, which has also worked to my advantage. I think he made it a little bit more difficult for the rest of the guys. So really, it was a day where the whole team came together, and it's a fantastic day. I'm just really, really proud of everybody at Motorrad.
And then Woolridge and Schultheimer stormed their Ford Ranger to the finish line for a very popular win at an event that's been good for them. And then a superb drive from the outgoing national champ Krobler that won his co-driver Francois Jordan his national championship. They were just 60 seconds behind the Ford at the line and clocked the fastest time of the day on Loop 2. Motorrad made it 2 out of 3 when Cox and Tersteger came home in third, 4.5 minutes behind Matthews and Smith. The Nissan men were very chuffed though.
Yeah, it was really a tremendous year for me. I'm very sorry Hannes is not with me in the championship, but it's one of those things, it's motor racing. I'm very glad that Hannes gave it to me. He drove superb today for 80 k's without a gear lever, and he said he's doing it for me. Thank you, Hannes.
A tough day at the office.
Yeah, it was a tough day. It's always not easy to start so far behind all the other guys with all the dust. But we've made the best of it, you know, and we just kept it going, and we had to get the car to the end and try to finish as high as possible in our positions.
No thoughts of retirement like the old man here?
No, there's no thought of retirement when you can win.
The Cries, Jan and Hendrik, were exhausted but pleased with a truly superb season. 6 wins out of 8.
Hendrik, they made you work for your money today.
Yes, no, definitely. We had 3 minutes on the first guy in the morning, and we had to fight. No, we battled the whole day.
And a nice way for you to end the season.
Yeah, I know, it's excellent. We enjoy a win, so it's lekker.
And next year, are you going to be in Class B again, or look at better things?
I don't know. We'll see. We're going to be here, so we'll see what we're going to do.
Well, the season was flying high right at the end, but for the Weichholz, it seemed that they could go for more.
Cliff, you look as though you could do another 400 k's.
Yeah, I wouldn't say. We had a good run. Just had a few problems today. We had picked up a wire on the one prop shaft. Otherwise, we would have done much better. But the race was nice. We enjoyed it.
Jake, a tough day.
Yeah, it has been a tough day. A good day. No problems with the bucky, but it's been a hell of a rough.
So you earned your money today?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, we really did. And thank goodness for the Ford, we didn't have to get out for any problems. So, you know, a lot of other guys were in and out their buckies, and we never got out. So that's thanks to Dave and the guys that helped fix this thing.
In Class S, the Kopenhagen team won the battle as they clinched the win, but lost the war to Richard Schilling, who didn't even line up.
Yeah, well, you know, a bit of a broken arm and having wrapped up the championship. Time for a little break before getting ready for next year. So I'm actually sorry I missed it, because it seems to have been a very nice event. Not muddy and, well, good competition.
Is the arm bothering you still?
Yeah, look, I've actually got to wait another 4 or 5 weeks before I can drive properly. So, yeah, but to be absolutely honest, once we'd won the championship, we felt like a break. Chris, very, very busy at the moment, so that's the reason we didn't race.
A fine victory for the Ford crew in their own race, and Krobler proving that he never gives up after starting 21st overall. Voss stormed back from the dead and took 5th. And in the special vehicle battle, it was the double chap Hutchison who got the nod, and Bergman also won the co-drivers championship. The Harpers, after getting stuck, were 22 minutes off the pace. The championships and a second national title for the likeable Duncan Voss, who will be hard to beat in 2008. And just that 9-point margin for Hutchison over Nick Harper. The special vehicle race in 2008 will be, dare we say it, special.
Glenn, another fantastic season for Nissan.
Absolutely brilliant. I mean, the season really was a pleasure, first of all, because we had only 2 small mechanical failures out of 3 cars in 8 races. So reliability was fantastic from the Navara. And all 3 of our drivers performed brilliantly the whole year. And 1, 2, 3 in the championship, what more could we ask for?
Indeed, they couldn't ask for anything more. A big win for Nissan as the manufacturer's points were total up after round 8.